Back to the melons and maters patch. You're doing a fine job, Clarence. Clarence is spreading manure on... Actually, I'm spreading it. He's hauling it. We take turns. This is going to be the beet patch, and I wanted to talk about which poo is right for you again. Great article I read. But that all depends on your goals, your context, what your soil's doing, what your resources are, what you want to deal with. Not all manures are created equal. First of all, you don't put any meat-eater manures on your ground. Don't do that. Don't mess around with the dog poo and the kitty poo. Don't do that. But when you're talking about ruminants, not all ruminants are created equal. If you're looking for high nitrogen and high phosphorus, sheep, goats, poultry are going to be your go-to manure spreads. If you need some carbon, you can use cow. Ideally, I wouldn't use manure at all if I could afford a 30-to-1 carbon to nitrogen ratio compost, which would be fantastic. It's not cheap. Nobody around here makes it in that large of a quantity. It is something we will have to do ourselves in the future. But if you need manure, if you want some carbon, well, there are options. Just know that you're probably going to have weeds. That's just how it works. Weeds because of potassium levels, weeds because of undigested weeds. Now last year, we needed 40 pounds more of phosphorus per acre on a little, and we had access to a lot of sheep manure. And it was well aged, so we knew there'd be plenty of phosphorus there. And we probably put down 6,000 pounds, or it might have been 6 tons, might have been 12,000 pounds. We put down a lot. And that's what our Haney Test said we needed. And the tomato crop turned out fantastic. Best organic tomatoes of our lives. We had no chemical bill. And the biology and the manure seemed to do the trick, especially as far as the phosphorus went. Now, nitrogen is going to differ in your manure spreads because nitrogen leaches. When it comes right out of the animal, it's hot. It's plentiful. When you pee it out, it's plentiful, but it's volatile, it leaches, it goes away. Phosphorus doesn't move, it just sits there. Even when you apply it to the plant, it's not going to travel far. It's going to be there long time. If you rely on manure for your nitrogen, you better know what you're doing, have your manure tested. Not sure how to figure that out. I wouldn't count on manure unless it's not a heavy feeder crop. Unless your Haney Test says it's okay. Now, hang on. I'm going through a lot of material here. It all depends. Okay, if you have a bunch of hot manure, if I had a whole tank full of pea and other feast, whatever, and I had a cover crop of rye that was well established in the month of October, I wouldn't worry about spreading it out there. I'd throw it all out there. I don't think you could hurt my cover crop of rye. I haven't tried it, but this stuff's hard to kill enough as it is. I think that'd be a great way to deal with your hot, wet manure. Just throw it out there, and rye is a scavenger. Rye will suck up all that nitrogen before it runs into the river and down to the Gulf and turns everything red and orange. That's an excellent thing to do in the fall. And that nitrogen will be in the plant tissue until the plant dies. And then it slowly releases as the plant decomposes. Or you bring in a cow, the cow eats it again, dumps it back out the other end in the form of steer manure, cow manure. And that's different. So which poo is right for you? You just gotta figure out what your fertility needs are, what kind of weeds you want to deal with, what your other resources are, and make some decisions. Do the math. Roughly speaking, I would guess sheep manure is 3 to 6 times more fertile than cow manure or steer manure. Any given time. I'm not a manure scientist, but poultry manure, it's definitely more valuable in all the NPK requirements than steer manure, except maybe potassium. Like I said before, we used it for the phosphorus. Our tomato crop needed more nitrogen. It didn't blow up the green monsters, so we had just the right amount of nitrogen, and Brix level was fine. Everything went well okay there. Ideally, we would put down a 30-to-1 compost, a 30-to-1 carbon to nitrogen compost, and all the right biology, and we wouldn't need to add potassium or phosphorus or hardly anything. Nature would just do what nature wants to do at that point. But we're not going to get there this year. That's going to take some work. There's some great companies out there that make this compost. I buy the compost and use it for extract. I can't afford to spread it over the entire place. But the extract, you inoculate the roots of your plants with the extract, and nature gets going. I better get back to work here. It's time to farm, people. See you next time.